There are some insane signals for Bitcoin that are just completely mind-boggling at the moment. And I'm always happy to see Bitcoin signals because a high Bitcoin means a high XRP. So that's more money to flow into XRP in the future. But let's talk about the Bitcoin first. Now, it is customary for Bitcoin to achieve all-time highs the year after the halving. This year, because of the added frenzy of institutions buying in to seed ETFs and the general FOMO in the market of Bitcoin moving from something that is viewed as an illegal thing by a lot of FUDers to something that countries and companies are interested in. Larry Fink, one of the biggest names in finance, talking positively about Bitcoin. Now, whether or not you like that, again, a lot of Bitcoin maxis aren't actually pleased with that because they don't want an establishment company like BlackRock to acquire the amounts of Bitcoin that they will be acquiring, or they are presently acquiring and are planning to acquire in the future. Now, because BlackRock, Fidelity, and all those guys were seeding their Bitcoins, we saw a massive frenzy. Also, the miners temporarily halted their sales after the halving, and all of this culminated into a huge pump, which took Bitcoin to all-time highs. As a result of that, we saw some of the money flow down to the likes of Ethereum, XRP, Solana, Cardano, etc. So that's positive news. So it's always wonderful to see Bitcoin go that far up because it sets the tone for the rest of the market. A low Bitcoin, unfortunately, means a low XRP at the moment. So even though XRP is starting its pump, it's still partly dependent on the price of Bitcoin, for that baseline price on top of which we can build on. Also, Bitcoin dominance is good because we know that as the Bitcoin flattens out at the top, we're going to see that money trickle down and eventually hit XRP. Again, back to Bitcoin. So why was it, though, that even though we know that the buy-in by the big organizations like BlackRock helped Bitcoin to achieve an all-time high, there is a feeling that there's something else going on in the background. There's some more bullishness that is being kind of not directly in the open, right? Now, the rumor is that countries around the world that have the funds and the foresight are starting to front run the United States. We all know that the United States is planning to acquire Bitcoin to be part of the reserve strategy so that sometime in the future when Bitcoin goes to $1 billion each, the United States has a stockpile which maintains their dominance when it comes to money. Of course, Bitcoin would have to be an insane amount in terms of price for it to be able to make a dent in the kind of deficit that the United States has, but every little helps. And Donald Trump very famously said that not only will he not be selling the amount of Bitcoin that's currently held by the United States, a lot of it probably just seized from Silk Road and such things, that he's going to be buying more to generate a stockpile. Now, if the United States, richest country in the world with infinite money, are going to print and buy Bitcoin, just imagine what that's going to do to the price of Bitcoin. So not that the United States is going to be trickling down the other cryptos. Actually, who knows? Maybe they decide to trickle down. But the price at which the whales are going to sell to the United States and other countries are going to give them so much money that they're going to have that much money to then trickle down to the likes of XRP. We all know of El Salvador, which is one of the first countries that we know of anyway, that openly said we're going to buy Bitcoin and have a strategy. So we know companies like MicroStrategy have done the same. So now, just as other companies like Microsoft and others are looking at the success of MicroStrategy and implementing it, other countries are looking at what the United States is talking about, and moreover, looking at what El Salvador has done, and they're designing their own strategies for Bitcoin. In fact, the rumor is that there's some countries that are already doing it, but on the hush hush. So when we see those giant green candles in Bitcoin and we wonder, where's all this stuff coming from? Turns out there's some countries that have infinite pockets that have been buying Bitcoin, and that countries are about to kick off a gold rush, Bitcoin rush, I guess you'd call it, to really go after Bitcoin. And when that happens, guys, I can't even start to think what's going to happen to the price of Bitcoin. Now, when you hear that Bitcoin is going to be $1 million each in future, this is how it gets there. In fact, it's insane to think about how much money is going to go into Bitcoin once the likes of Kuwait and Qatar and Saudi Arabia and the UAE and Singapore and China and Russia and the BRICS countries start to try to front run the United States. China has a lot of money. Japan needs that money to fix their economy. God knows, is Japan already buying? We don't know. What about African countries? Nigeria, Angola, these are oil producing countries. Now, countries like Nigeria and the UAE that have energy, free excess energy that is just flaring into the air, there's talk of some of those countries starting to mine Bitcoin. So Russia is mining Bitcoin. We know the United States, the people mining Bitcoin in the United States, but on a state level, we haven't really seen any other country apart from El Salvador and maybe Kazakhstan do Bitcoin mining. Now imagine there's a flare in Nigeria that's been flaring gas into the air since the 1960s, just wasted energy, flaring into the air, completely just polluting the environment and being wasted and not being harnessed. Now imagine if someone with enough know-how and the technology to go there and harness that energy to mine Bitcoin on the country's behalf. If the country won't do it themselves, perhaps maybe China or Russia could get in there and implement such a thing, right? Now, the future of Bitcoin mining and buying and stockpiling is just incredible. Now, how does that affect XRP? First of all, the legitimization of Bitcoin in such a global scale helps legitimize other cryptos too. It's just a big brother, little brother thing, right? And by relation, every single cryptocurrency that's worth its weight in gold is going to benefit from such a move. There's also a chance that some of the countries might start to behave like retail. So they see Bitcoin, they say, you know what? It's too hard to mine this. It's too hard to buy. Now it's too expensive. The upside isn't that great. And then the countries start to look at other cryptos and say, what happens if we buy this XRP thing, right? Or Ethereum or what have you? We do have an upside in this that is greater than Bitcoin. Now, will countries now start to behave like retail in that they now see a bigger upside in a different crypto? And of all the cryptocurrencies, they're going to have to pick one that is as solid as Bitcoin, one that has a proven blockchain, a proven ledger that doesn't break down, that doesn't choke, one that isn't in bed with, certain politicians. You know what I mean? And I think that the next candidate for this, after Bitcoin, is XRP. In just like the nature of the fact that it would already be present in their countries. Remember, bankers token, XRP would already be present in their countries. XRP will already be running some of their CBDCs. XRP would already be running a lot of their inter-country transfers, cross-border payments, tokenization of real world assets. XRP already approved in a lot of those jurisdictions in Asia, in the Middle East. Okay. I know that they've got some approvals in the UAE and in Riyadh and all those places. So very likely so. And if that's the case, they already have a leg up over other cryptos. And when the government start to look at which cryptos they're going to buy, that's going to give them that upside that they're looking for, to stockpile crypto, maybe to pay down national debt, or maybe just to have a reserve, then XRP is frontline. Okay. And now think about BRICS. Now, if the United States starts to stockpile Bitcoin strategically, that BRICS will do the same thing as an organization. So Russia, perhaps is stockpiling, Brazil, India, China on their own basis. But then as a unit of BRICS, you can imagine that BRICS is probably also at least starting to stockpile if they haven't already started stockpiling. And now when you think about it, which token of all the tokens, maybe apart from Bitcoin, does BRICS most work with at the moment, or is related to what they're doing with the BRICS currency or whatever? It's XRP. It sure as heck ain't Solana, sure as heck ain't Ethereum or Cardano or any of those other guys. That's the only blockchain that's capable of doing something like this. And what might they want to stockpile because they're already quite savvy and they know the token pretty well compared to the others? Well, you make your own decision. Not financial advice, do your own research. The hurricane has got a lot worse. I think it's called Betty or something like that. I went walking this morning and stuff everywhere. So keep safe if you're in the UK, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.